Welcome back to Headlines. I'm Wes Austin, and these are today's top stories. First, we'll watch Democratic Congressman Hank Johnson try to talk about illegal immigration, but he ends up talking about Latinos like he's reading a Where's Waldo book called Donde Está Hank? If you haven't seen a video of Hank Johnson, you need to see this. Next, we dive into President Trump's announcement that he wants to take away Harvard's tax-exempt status. At this point, Harvard's not a school, it's a hedge fund for elites who hate America but love power. Think of it like Goldman Sachs but with more pronouns. Then we'll see Representative Ilhan Omar tell a conservative reporter to F off just for asking a question about traveling to El Salvador. It was definitely an overreaction to a travel question. Most people just say, I prefer the window seat, not please perform an act that is anatomically impossible for you to do. Finally, we wrap up with President Trump pulling the plug on federal funding for PBS and NPR. If they want federal funding, they might have to resort to crazy journalism tactics like covering both sides and not making conservatives sound like they eat children. Okay, let's dive in. Here's Democrat Representative Hank Johnson sharing his thoughts about illegal immigration.
First, they came for the Latinos outside of the Home Depots trying to get work so that they could feed their families. And I didn't say anything about it because I'm not a Latino at the Home Depot.
Hank, no one is saying you're a Latino at the Home Depot. I don't think anyone would say you're a Latino at Lowe's either.
Then they came for the Hispanic-looking folks wearing hats backward with tattoos, and they deported them to El Salvador. And I didn't say anything about that because I don't wear my hair backward, and I don't have any tattoos, and I don't look like a Latino.
Hank, we know. No one is saying you're a Latino. And did you say you don't wear your hair backwards? I mean, I'd really need to see the back of your head to know if that was true or not.
Because I'm not a Latina. I'm not a little child.
Hank, those are two things that no one has ever accused you of being, despite the fact that you keep a piñata in your office. President Trump wants to revoke Harvard's tax-exempt status. He said this on Truth Social. We are going to be taking away Harvard's tax-exempt status. It's what they deserve. How can he say that Harvard deserves it? They're the most prestigious finishing school for future deep state operatives in the country. Harvard's $53 billion endowment is the largest among U.S. universities. With $53 billion, Harvard could launch their own space program, but somehow they still qualify for the same tax status as your local Little League team. And Harvard's endowment generated approximately $2.4 billion in 2024. They're making $2.4 billion per year just off of investments. That's more than the GDP of some countries. But sure, let's have American taxpayers subsidize them. If Harvard's tax-exempt status changes, endowment income tax rates would increase from 1.4% to the standard 21% corporate rate, potentially reducing Harvard's annual funds by $525 million, which means they might only afford 5 DEI administrators per student instead of 10. A reporter tried to ask Ilhan Omar a question, and she responded with the F word.
Congresswoman Omar, I'm Miles Morrell with the Daily Caller News Foundation. Do you think more of your Democratic colleagues should be traveling to El Salvador to advocate on behalf of Rodrigo Garcia?
I think you should Yeah, that's
I'm sorry, what? Congresswoman? Who should?
You.
Why me?
I'm not taking any questions right now, but here you go.
Yeah, thanks.
Omar was asked about El Salvador and she exploded, which is kind of strange. She usually only gets that upset when someone mentions her brother. President Trump has ended federal funding for both NPR and PBS through the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. He said this in an executive order. Government funding of news media in this environment is not only outdated and unnecessary, but corrosive to the appearance of journalistic independence. The CPB board shall cease direct funding to NPR and PBS, consistent with my administration's policy to ensure that federal funding does not support biased and partisan news coverage. President Trump has given the CPB until June 30th to implement the order. For years, Sesame Street taught kids about kindness. And by kindness, we mean mandatory land acknowledgments and puppets crying about their climate anxiety. If federal funding is cut off, there is one downside. Most of us still don't know what gender Elmo is, and without government funding, we may never find out. Thanks for watching Headlines. And if you know anyone out there who would enjoy my videos or my clips, please share links with them. Actually, if you know someone who would really hate some of my clips, like your aunt who lives in San Francisco, why don't you send her a few links too? Okay, I'm Wes Austin. Good night and have a great weekend.